walking alone, the streets are empty. The only thing I can see is my own silhouette. I'm getting stronger, step by step. The clock is ticking, but there's no time for me. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around. We are heroes tonight. I need you to hear and don't show any fear. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight, yeah. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight, yeah. Town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul.
Nightmares creep while you and me repeat. This bittersweet heat is suffocating. Waiting and always hesitating. Kryptonite desires set my heart afire. Heart on fire. Set my heart afire. Still don't stop the thrill. My bones crave your skin. Temptation within. Mistakes ignite the silence. Nightmares creep while you and me repeat. This bittersweet heat is suffocating. I'm waiting and always hesitating. everything. Kryptonite desires set my heart afire. Heart on fire. Set my heart afire. through me, hypnotized by the sounds I'm breathing in. Hold tight, chemicals collide. Hold tight, hold tight, hold tight. Dripping lights paint the skies, all because of you. Dripping lights paint the skies, only you can make me move. You can make me move. Can make me move. You can make me move. Can make me. So alive, make it last forever. Stop in time, yeah, I'm surrendering. Hold tight, chemicals collide. Hold tight, hold tight, hold tight. Dripping lights paint the skies, all because of you. Dripping lights paint the skies, only you can make me move. You can make me move. Can make me move. Can make me move. You can make me move. Can make me.
Ruled it out. Burnley have just 1 point from their 5 fixtures so far and have lost both games at Turf Moor in the league without scoring. They also have a quite dreadful record against today's visitors. Chelsea have never lost a Premier League game on this ground, winning the last 3, scoring 10 goals into the bargain. Plus, in the last 24 home games against teams from the top flight, so-called Big Six, the Clarets have won just once. Let me bring you the team news. Well, Burnley are already without Ben Mee and Jack Cork, who are both long-term injuries. Phil Bardsley is absent, isolating from COVID, and unfortunately for Sean Dyche, Johan Berg Gudmundsson has joined the unavailable list. He has a calf injury, so Dale Stevens, a summer signing from Brighton, comes in for the only change from the team who were narrowly beaten by Spurs on Monday. Chelsea make 5 alterations from the Champions League win in southern Russia against Krasnodar. Hakim Ziyech keeps his place, while Reece James, Thiago Silva, Mason Mount, Tammy Abraham and Christian Pulisic all return to the lineup. That brings you up to date with the team news. Delighted once again to have Gabby Akbonlaho alongside me. Well, Burnley, we'll start with them. They simply have to get up and running, don't they? Because at the moment they are submerged in the bottom 3 and they are in big trouble.
Yeah, I think you look at Burnley, don't you? They're really desperate for that first win, and I just feel that this is the sort of game today. I've played Burnley away, you know, wet, miserable days where you don't really want to play the likes of Burnley. So this could be the game where they stick it on Chelsea and make it uncomfortable for them and get their first win. But sooner or later they're going to have to pick up a win because themselves, Burnley, Sheffield United and Fulham are they don't want to be caught at the bottom and a gap starts to arrive. Yeah,
they've only managed 3 goals as well in their opening games so far. From Chelsea's point of view, it's too many draws, isn't it, really? I mean, you're looking at a season here where it's very hard to pick anyone as potential champions because most of the big clubs are underperforming and other clubs are overperforming. Chelsea are stuck in the middle. West Brom and Southampton have taken points off them this season. They need to be winning games like this, don't they?
Yes, 100%. I think Frank Lampard will know that. He'll see this game today as a definitely must win. And you'll look at the table, because everyone's dropping points at the moment, a win today for Chelsea by 3 to 4 goals will send them in the top 4. Yep. They'll send them 4th, so he knows there's probably nothing to panic about at the moment. But I feel like Lampard's still trying to figure out his best team. I think because of the Champions League, he's made a few more changes today from the team that played the last Premier League game. So I think at this time with Chelsea, it's just about trying to win games now and get themselves into that top 4.
It's understandable, though, the changes. I mean, a long trip to Russia, great result against Krasnodar. But, you know, at the moment, it's weekend, midweek, with the way that the Champions League has had to be changed this season. So you can't expect players to be playing, potentially 8 games a month.
No way. I mean, that game, like you said, it was a long journey. There'll be a lot of players fatigued, a lot of players with little niggles. So he has to change his squad. And who's got the best squad in the Premier League? For me, Chelsea. So he's got such talent on his bench that he can bring in. You look at today, Ziyech is starting, Jorginho's on the bench, Werner's been put on the bench, and they still look like a very strong side. So Frank Lampard's lucky to have that where other teams haven't.
Well, Burnley are a case in point, aren't they? Their squad is not strong. They've got 2 kids on the bench today who've made just 1 appearance between them, and not having Goodmanson won't help them. He's a creative force out wide.
Yeah, he's a very good player, isn't he, Goodmanson? But I just look at Burnley and I actually feel sorry for Sean Dyche. It's like season after season, he doesn't get much money to spend. They can't really improve their squad. They lose players every summer and can't bring in quality players to replace them. You look at defence today, if there's an injury to Tarkowski at the back, and Kevin Long, who comes in? You can't really see a player on the bench that you'd recognise that will play centre half. So I think it's just a matter of time before Sean Dyche probably has a bit too much with the way things are at Burnley, and it's going to cost him because he's a good manager.
Yeah, he's a good manager, and he's celebrated 8 years in charge of Burnley yesterday. But he's got a big job this season with the Clarets stuck in the bottom 3. They are still just above Sheffield United, who were beaten by Manchester City earlier. We'll be looking back at last weekend and ahead to all the other games in just a moment on Premier League Live.
This October, watch the big games every weekend with Sky Sports and Sports Extra half price. This week it's Man United Arsenal, live only on Sky Sports. In one of the Premier League's most historic fixtures.
McTominay's there.
Get Sky Sports, BT Sport and Premier Sports half price for 6 months. Search Sky Sports Sale. New Sports customers only. Standard pricing applies after 6 months or if cancelling one element of the bundle. Minimum term and further terms apply.
Let's talk about you looking after your business. Ford, looking after your vehicle. Let's talk hassle-free Ford leasing. Just a fixed monthly payment, no motor tax to deal with, and no maintenance or servicing to pay on selected plans. Get the new Ford Puma from €385 per month. Hassle-free Ford lease. Now we're talking. Search Ford lease or text Ford to 50015 to speak to us about leasing your next vehicle.
Text cost to standard rate. Price quoted for a Puma Titanium with no maintenance over 4 years with 3 monthly rentals in advance. 20,000 kilometres per annum. Business users only. Price excludes VAT. Ford lease is provided by Merriam Fleet Management, trading as Ford Lease.
Get ready and hold on tight because the Premier League is here. Which teams will stay on track and who'll go off the rail? Get the Irish Sun for top transfer news, exclusive star interviews and opinions from the biggest names in football. Plus expert analysis of every action-packed match in our fantastic goals pull-out each weekend. Stay up to speed because you never know what the Premier League is going to throw up. Pick up the Irish Sun today.
This is not the time for business as usual. It's time for effort and imagination. It's time to use technology to start your online plans. It's time to work from home to stay in touch. It's time to look to each other. Scoil Céile. Ireland is working online with help from Black Knight and .ie, because now we need better than business as usual. Call Black Knight on 059 918 3027 or visit blackknight.ie.
123ink.ie for all your home office needs, including printers, ink, toners, paper, label markers, binders, pens, bins, batteries, boxes, chalk, compass, files, memory sticks, highlighters, glue, notepads, pencils, Whoa! And we're cheaper than your current supplier. 123ink.ie for home, for office, for less.
Introducing Guardson Sport. Protect your sporting equipment from COVID-19 for up to 14 days with Guardson Sport disinfectant treatment. Ideal in team sport settings with the sharing of balls, rackets, gloves, helmets and all other sporting equipment. Guardson Sport kills COVID-19 on impact, keeping surfaces free from COVID-19 and other viruses and bacteria for up to 14 days by creating a protective polymer layer on application. For more information on Guardson Sport and other quality assured, certified and approved PPE, visit yourcovidprotection.com.
Welcome back. Famous old ground in Lancashire, Turf Moor. Burnley were founder members of the Football League, and if you look over the stand on the far side, you can see rooftops and old factory chimneys, and behind them the moorland which surrounds this Lancashire town. But football-wise, they are struggling at the moment, and they need to get something against a Chelsea side who haven't conceded in their last 3 games and have never lost a Premier League game at Turf Moor. We'll have more on today's game in just a moment, but just to fill you in with what else is happening this weekend, we've already had Sheffield United beaten by a single goal by Manchester City. Ironically, it was Kyle Walker, Sheffield born and bred, and a die-hard Blades fan who got the winning goal and didn't celebrate because his respect for the club is such, but it leaves Sheffield United second from bottom, above only Fulham. If Burnley were to pull off a win today, they would send West Bromwich Albion into the bottom 3 and go 4th from bottom themselves. We've got that one coming up. Cracker at 5:30 as well, with James Fielden and David Connolly. The champions Liverpool up against West Ham. The Hammers have been terrific lately, got a point off Manchester City last weekend. Liverpool were winners in the Champions League in midweek, but of course they are having to cope without their talismanic captain and defender Virgil van Dijk, who's got a serious knee injury. Let's see what the latest is on that, and to tell us, Jurgen Klopp.
But I can tell you that after a surgery, and it was successful, which is really good, the best news you could get is that this time is always unpleasant. Everybody who had a surgery knows that. You don't wake up and everything is fine, so you feel still the surgery. So, and that's it. But he's good. He's good, as good as you can be, and that's it.
Well, it's a huge miss for them, isn't he, Gabby? But they do have a big squad, as we've talked about regarding clubs like Chelsea and Manchester City. If Liverpool get at least a point against West Ham, they will return to where they finished last season, top of the pile. But West Ham have been good, but they will miss Mikel Antonio, won't they, who's been talismanic, but sadly is injured today.
Yep, West Ham, I mean, without Mikel Antonio, they're a whole different side for me. I feel like the tactics that they play to defend deep and look for Antonio on the counter-attack suits the way they play. Without him, I can only see a lot of pressure on that West Ham goal, and I feel sooner or later the likes of Salah and Mane are going to start getting their 2 goals a game. I think Liverpool are due to give someone a good hiding, and I feel like without Antonio there's not going to be as much threat going forward. So Liverpool's defence, if it's Matip and Gomez and one of the young lads, I don't think they're going to be tested much today. So I'm looking at a comfortable win for Liverpool. But in further games coming, when they're playing against quality sides, I feel like that Liverpool defence is going to get found out as well.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the table, it's incredible. I can't remember a season like it, really. I mean, we're on week 7. Wolverhampton Wanderers were winners last night against Crystal Palace, so they've moved up to 3rd. Everton still top by virtue of goal difference over their Merseyside rivals. But, I mean, can you remember a season, I can't, where 3 points separate the entire top 10? It's incredible, isn't it? And it's just, how long is it going to continue being as open as this, do you think?
I think if you give it 3, 4, 5 more games, I feel like the sides of like Liverpool, the sides like Manchester City are going to start getting a run together, and I think there'll start to be a gap. I think it's still early days. A lot of these squads have not had much rest during the summer. Yep. You've got the Champions League games that are every week now, so it's a bit of a different season. But I do feel that the top 2, Liverpool and Manchester City, will form a gap soon, and the rest of the top 10 I think will stay as it is. It will be quite tight.
Yeah, the cream does normally rise to the top, but it just makes it absolutely fascinating, doesn't it? I mean, you look at a team like Arsenal, they're down in 12th, but they're realistically only 4 points off top spot. It's quite incredible. Well, Liverpool-West Ham, 5:30 local time. We'll bring you that one, of course. And then we've got 4 games for you tomorrow. Starting, Gabby, with your beloved Aston Villa at home to Southampton. It was all going so well for Villa, but they came unstuck last weekend.
Yeah, it was a tough game last weekend. I think Leeds United are a team that they will beat a lot of teams like the way they beat Aston Villa. They're the fittest team I've seen in a long while and very organised under Bielsa. So I'm hoping that was a blip. I look at the next game for Aston Villa, Southampton. It's going to be a very, very tough game. Southampton, I mean, everyone's impressed with how they've been ever since they lost, was it 9-0 to Leicester. They've been a different team, and they've got a lot of players like Redmond, Ings, Adams. You've got Walcott coming back in now, so it'll be a really tough game for Aston Villa. But this is what Villa fans want to see: their team bounce back and make sure that it was just a blip against Leeds.
Yeah, the last weekend was the first anniversary of that awful, embarrassing defeat for Southampton in the rain at St Mary's against Leicester. But it just goes to show that if you are willing to stick with a manager that you believe in, regardless of how bad a result may be, that making knee-jerk reactions is not always the best idea. And Southampton, to me, look at a very good, well-balanced side. They were terrific against Everton last weekend. I thought they played well from 1 to 11, really, and they look a very galvanised side this season.
Yeah, and like you said there, I feel like clubs now will learn from Southampton and not just sack a manager after one bad result. And what they did has helped them become the team they are now. You look at the way they play like an old school 4-4-2, but when they lose the ball, their 2 strikers are back defending. So that's what Everton couldn't deal with. They had 11 men behind the ball, but also counter-attack well. I also feel the whole team is very balanced, and they're going to beat a lot of teams this year, and they'll be absolutely fine, Southampton.
Yeah, talking of Everton, I mean, obviously they came unstuck for the first time this season, but they've still had a terrific start to the campaign. They're at Newcastle, which is never an easy place to go to. One of my friends who's an Everton supporter rather unkindly suggested that now that the clocks have gone back, James Rodriguez might disappear a little. I think it's one of those old cliches about can he do it on a wet weekend in Stoke, but they will need him to keep performing, won't they?
Yeah, 100%, and he didn't have the best of games against Southampton, but what Southampton were clever was they pressed him. Whenever he had the ball, someone was putting him on the floor. They were getting little clever fouls on him, getting him angry, and that's what you have to do with that sort of player. You have to press him and put him off his game. But Everton will be fine. I think Everton fans might have been getting carried away with their start, but I think as a squad and a manager, if they can finish in the top 8, top 6 this season, it'll be an outstanding season. What they've done with their start is they've given themselves a bit of breathing space to be able to lose like they did last week, and then no one makes a big fuss about it.
Yeah, I would agree. No doubt about the big game of the weekend. That comes at 4:30 tomorrow afternoon. It's Manchester United against Arsenal. It's always a massive game, that one. I know both clubs have huge support all around the world, so you'll be very keen to tune in for that one with Joe Shannon and the former Manchester United title winner Paul Parker. Let's hear from the United boss, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who tells us that he reckons the Premier League these days is more competitive than when he was the Manchester United super sub.
So many clubs have developed strength in depth and the ability to challenge for the trophies, of course. So even though the last 2 seasons you've had 2 teams running away with it, I think this season a lot of us just underneath them would hope to put up a challenge. But back then we felt it was either us or Arsenal, or then Chelsea came through as well. So for me it's more probably more exciting and interesting for the fans as well, and for everyone, that you don't really have. It's going to be one of these two. So, and I think it showed this season anything can happen.
Well, you don't normally get Manchester United Arsenal games where Arsenal are 12th and Manchester United are 15th, but it's been that kind of season, and for either of them to lose, I mean, it's early days, but that would be fairly catastrophic, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think there's more pressure for some reason on Arteta at the moment. I mean, Arsenal are in a bit of bad form. There's talk about Aubameyang, Willian. They've not really done that much, especially since Aubameyang signed his contract. He hasn't scored and he's not looked like the same player. So I think there's a lot of pressure on Arteta, because Manchester United, the way they played in midweek in the Champions League, if they can play like that, I could see a similar result against Arsenal. So it's strange times, like you says, where they are in the league, but it's still early days. We can't really judge it after 5-6 games. We'll have to look and see what it's like after 10-11 games.
Just had a bit of news from the dressing room regarding our game, Burnley against Chelsea, of course. Timo Werner was initially on the substitutes bench, but we understand that he is now going to start, and that Christian Pulisic is not going to be included. I can only assume he must have injured himself in training or in the warm-up, or aggravated an injury. He was set to play, Pulisic. I know that'll disappoint an awful lot of our American listeners as well, but we're hearing that Timo Werner will start and Christian Pulisic will be left out. I can confirm he was injured, the American, in the warm-up, so he will not be playing for Chelsea today. Let's go back to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He made some interesting comments this week, one of which was about the issue of substitutes. Of course, during the after the lockdown, when the Premier League resumed, we had 5 subs allowed. It's back down to 3, but Solskjaer, along with Pep Guardiola, believes it should go back to 5.
I don't understand, and I cannot believe that the vote went against, because we have to look after the players, we have to think about the players, and this season is the most demanding season of all. If you take a step back and think about these professional footballers and their mental and physical health, I think the only sensible solution would have been to give us the opportunity to rest a few more. We've already seen loads of injuries in the Premier League. I know Pep has been talking about it, other managers, and we have to look after them.
What do you reckon, Gabby? Is it the big clubs just saying we've got a better squad?
Yeah, come on, it's not fair, because I don't think they should be allowed 5 subs, because if you look at Manchester United squad and Manchester City, I mean, even let's look at Spurs, for instance. They could bring on Dele Alli, Bale, they could bring on Harry Winks, they could bring on all these quality players, but then you look at a side like Burnley and they've only got probably 3 players that want to bring on. So if you're losing, or you're 0-0 in a game, and then Spurs, Manchester United can bring on 5 world-class players, it's going to change the game, isn't it, when your players are tired? So you've got to look at it from the teams that aren't so privileged with big squads, and it's not our fault that Manchester United and the big clubs are in the Champions League.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. Let's hear from the 2 managers involved today then at Turf Moor, Sean Dyche and Frank Lampard.
Well, it's all part of the learning curve for Frank, I'm sure. Had a really strong first season. Spent a lot of money, but he'll know, the different teams he's worked in and managed, that moulding period to get all them players to align and pick your best team, and the ones who work together on the pitch and the ones who find a blend that works and is successful. They're all the challenges that come of any coach or manager in the Premier League. He'll be looking to do that individually. I think we all know they've got some very, very high level individuals, and trying to find the mix that works for him on a regular basis. Every manager's trying to do that.
Respect to Burnley team managed by Sean Dyche for the qualities that they have. I watched the game against Tottenham. They were very unfortunate to obviously not take anything from the game against a very good Tottenham team. And it was everything you expect from Burnley in terms of their organisation, their effort, their desire and their qualities. I think people can pigeonhole Burnley. I don't. I know they have quality players. I know they have a very effective way of playing and a very good manager, so I expect a tough match.
I think we performed very well, actually, and I think we deserve probably, arguably anyway, all three at West Brom. You don't always get it. And I thought we certainly deserved something against a good Tottenham side. So that's looking a lot better performance-wise. Of course, you've got to turn performances into points, but I've always been a believer, I've always spoken openly with the players about performances over a season pay you back. The consistency now, the belief in the performances, because you still want that win, of course. That does build confidence when you're winning games, or it certainly adds to confidence. But no, there's a lot of things they're still doing well, but we've got to find the margins that we're often good at to make sure we get points on the board and wins on the board.
When you're bringing in new players into the club, and it's a great thing to bring players with versatility in their game, and I love that. But you're also then, in the early stage of the season, trying to find the balance for the whole team, the thing that brings out the best in all the players. And I keep saying that, it must sound like a broken record, and it's not an excuse, but normally you have a month or 6 weeks and probably 2 weeks in America or the Far East to hone down these things. We actually are doing them in real time, so it's maybe normal that we've had to find different solutions to different games.
Well, those are the two managers ahead of this one, the two sets of players making their way onto the pitch through their separate entrances at Turf Moor. Just to remind you, if you just joined us, Christian Pulisic will not play today for Chelsea. He was named initially, but he's injured himself in the warm-up and has been replaced by Timo Werner. Burnley in the bottom three, Chelsea looking to climb the table, potentially into fourth place. It's coming up live on Premier League Live.
As darkness sweeps around the globe at 8 p.m. on the 18th of November, 25,000 people worldwide will pull their running shoes on to hit the road for a virtual 5 or 10k at Run in the Dark. I'm Mark Pollock, and by joining us to Run in the Dark this November, you'll be supporting the Mark Pollock Trust and our charity partner Collaborative Cures, whose mission it is to cure paralysis in our lifetime. Register now at runinthedark.org and get your medal, your flashing armband, and your Run in the Dark virtual timing app. Thank you.
Let's talk about you looking after your business. Ford, looking after your vehicle. Let's talk hassle-free Ford leasing. Just a fixed monthly payment, no motor tax to deal with, and no maintenance or servicing to pay on selected plans. Get the Ford Transit Custom from €290 per month. Hassle-free Ford lease. Now we're talking. Search Ford Lease or text Ford to 50015 to speak to us about leasing your next vehicle.
Text cost a standard rate. Price quoted for Transit Custom base with no maintenance. Over 4 years with 3 monthly rentals in advance. 20,000 kilometres per annum. Business users only. Price excludes VAT. Ford Lease is provided by Merriam Fleet Management, trading as Ford Lease.
Get ready and hold on tight, because the Premier League is here! Which teams will stay on track? And who'll go off the rail? Get the Irish Sun for top transfer news, exclusive star interviews and opinions from the biggest names in football. Plus expert analysis of every action-packed match in our fantastic goals pull-out each weekend. Stay up to speed, because you never know what the Premier League is going to throw up. Pick up the Irish Sun today.
This is not the time for business as usual. It's time for effort and imagination. It's time to use technology to start your online plans. It's time to work from home, to stay in touch. It's time to look to each other. Scoil Céile. Ireland is working online with help from Black Knight and .ie, because now we need better than business as usual. Call Black Knight on 059 918 3027 or visit blackknight.ie.
123inc.ie have your office needs covered. So whether you're an accountant, butcher, carpenter, dentist, electrician, florist, graphic designer, hairdresser, journalist, lecturer, musician, optician, retailer, teacher, solicitor, web designer, or yoga instructor, we've got what you need. And we're cheaper than your current supplier. 123inc.ie. For home, for office, for less.
Introducing Guardson Sport. Protect your sporting equipment from COVID-19 for up to 14 days with Guardson Sport disinfectant treatment. Ideal in team sport settings with the sharing of balls, rackets, gloves, helmets, and all other sporting equipment. Guardson Sport kills COVID-19 on impact, keeping surfaces free from COVID-19 and other viruses and bacteria for up to 14 days by creating a protective polymer layer on application. For more information on Guardson Sport and other quality assured, certified and approved PPE, visit yourcovidprotection.com.
You're listening to TalkSport's coverage of Burnley against Chelsea from Turf Moor. I'm your host, John Anderson. Alongside me is the former Aston Villa and England striker, Gabby Agbonlahor. This is Premier League Live. Well, Chelsea have already suffered a blow. Christian Pulisic, who scored a hat-trick on this ground in a 4-2 win last season. It was a perfect hat-trick too. Right foot, left foot header. That was really the game that announced himself as a major force in the Premier League. But he's got injured, so Frank Lampard has had to reshuffle his pack before kick-off. The two captains out in the centre, Ashley Westwood of Burnley and Thiago Silva of Chelsea. But before the match gets underway, we will have a minute's silence. It's been a very sad week for football. We've lost Nobby Stiles, one of England's 1966 World Cup winning heroes, whose toothless grin and victory dance at Wembley that famous day has really been an iconic moment in English football. It is also the last home game before Remembrance Day, so we will also, of course, be remembering those who we lost in wartime. The giant screen has a picture of Nobby Stiles, 1942 to 2020, a European Cup winner with Manchester United, of course, the club with whom he spent most of his career, a much-loved figure in English football and English sport. It is a time for remembrance, and within the context of wartime, football, of course, is only a game, but football, English football, has lost one of its favourite sons, Nobby Stiles. There are now only 4 members of England's 1966 World Cup winning team still with us, and we wish all of them continuing good health while wishing condolences to the friends and family of Nobby Stiles. That is followed by the now traditional taking of the knee, and any moment now we will be underway at Turf Moor. Our referee today is David Coote. Chelsea are in their traditional all blue strip, and Burnley, the Clarets as they are known, are in claret and blue. Let me give you the 2 lineups. Burnley have Nick Pope in goal, a back 4 of Matt Lowton, James Tarkowski, Kevin Long and Charlie Taylor. Then it's Dwight McNeil, Ashley Westwood, Dale Stephens, who replaces the injured Johan Berg Gudmundsson, and Josh Brownhill in midfield. Up front, Chris Wood and Ashley Barnes. For Chelsea, Edouard Mendy, who's kept clean sheets in 4 of his 5 Chelsea games, is in goal. The back 4 is Reece James, Kurt Zuma, Thiago Silva, who returns as captain, and Ben Chilwell. In midfield, N'Golo Kante, Kai Havertz and Mason Mount. Then it's Hakim Ziyech, who scored in midweek his first Chelsea goal. Tammy Abraham back at centre forward, and Timo Werner, who replaces Christian Pulisic, who was originally named in the starting 11 but has either picked up or aggravated an injury in the warm-up and is not playing today. Did, of course, you'll remember, injured his hamstring in the FA Cup final at the end of last season. Gabby, how much are they going to miss him, Pulisic? He's a real bright. Well, hang on, here's Tammy Abraham trying to get forward straight away for Chelsea, but he's committed a foul there. So Pulisic, I mean, he's such a creative player. Werner's a good player, obviously, but it means that Chelsea are not really starting with the lineup that Frank Lampard intended.
No, and I feel like during the shape that they would have done in training before the game, there would have been Pulisic would have been involved in it, so Lampard won't be happy that he's lost him. But like you said there, you're bringing on Werner, who's one of the better players in the Premier League, so I'm sure that Frank Lampard will be fine.
Burnley have only ever beaten Chelsea once in the Premier League. That was at Stamford Bridge in 2017. This has been a happy hunting ground for the Blues in recent history. This is their 7th visit in the Premier League. Of the previous 6, they've won 5 and drawn 1. Here's Loughton for Burnley inside the centre circle. They're without Goodmanson today, which adds to an injury list which also includes me and Cork, and of course Phil Bardsley is isolating after COVID diagnosis. All the best to him. I gather he's okay. Chance for Brownhill to try and get the ball forward for Burnley, but it's intercepted by Kurt Zuma, who's wearing gloves. Gabby, I know you used to love your trips to rainy Burnley, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm not sure I'd wear gloves on a day like this, though. I don't think it's cold enough for gloves at the moment. No, it's not that cold.
No, I agree. Although I think some players just feel uncomfortable if their hands... I remember John Barnes at Watford, he used to always really just... people used to say, well, why are you wearing gloves? He said, I just didn't like my fingers feeling even slightly cold. And I suppose it's all about feeling comfortable, isn't it, within yourself? But,
if I ever wore gloves and had a bad game, the gaffer would hammer me. He'd say, because you got gloves on, you're soft.
Kante sprays the ball across. Chilwell tries to keep it in, but he's not quite able to do so, and it goes out of play behind the goal, defended by the Burnley goalkeeper, Nick Pope, who's only kept 1 clean sheet in his last 7 games for Burnley. Burnley and Sheffield United are the joint lowest scorers in the Premier League, only 3 goals each so far, and that's a big reason why they are where they are in the table, still without a win. There are 4 teams in the Premier League yet to taste victory. Sheffield United must wait. They were beaten 1-0 by Manchester City earlier today. Burnley trying to get forward with Loughton, who spreads it. It's a useful ball, it's controlled well, it's a great chance, and it's been lofted over the top of the crossbar by Ashley Barnes. It was a glorious opportunity for Burnley. Lovely, lovely ball by Loughton. Zuma didn't pick up the man on his shoulder, and really, Gabby, that was a very presentable chance that wasn't taken.
Yeah, it was a great ball by Loughton. I played him at Aston Villa, he's great on the ball. And I think just an unlucky touch there. It was on the bounce and you tried to lift over the keeper, Barnes, but that's a great effort for Burnley. And I mean, Frank Lampard must be shaking his head on the touchline, because that's a story of Chelsea's season so far. Defensively, Zuma's not looking at the man, he's looking, and it's real schoolboy defending from Zuma.
Yep. Edouard Mendy keeps his record so far of clean sheets. The only goal he's conceded since he joined Chelsea was against Tottenham in a League Cup game, which Chelsea ended up losing on penalties. He's not conceded in the Premier League yet, and he looks, from early evidence, to be a player who might have finally sorted out Chelsea's rather tangled goalkeeping conundrum. Willy Caballero, incidentally, is on the bench today, but they've reinstated Petr Cech, who was a technical advisor, 38 years of age. He's been an ice hockey goalkeeper for a team in Guildford since he quit football, but Chelsea have included him in the Premier League squad. He's not on the bench today, but that doesn't say much for Kepa Arrizabalaga, does it?
No, I mean, basically Lampard's saying that a 38-year-old Peter Cech who's not played in 3 years is better than Kepa, so I mean, I do feel sorry for Kepa. I mean, his confidence must be an all-time low now.
Absolutely. World's most expensive goalkeeper as well, £71 million, and he's behind Peter Cech, who, as I say, has been playing ice hockey. He's been playing the drums as well. If you ever look up YouTube, look at Peter Cech's drumming. He's really, really good. He's drumming to like Nirvana songs and Foo Fighters records and stuff like that. Here's Ashley Barnes, who missed that chance earlier, finding Lowton, who's been involved quite a lot early on. Long ball forward by Tarkowski. This time Chelsea do have the measure of it, and it's Thiago Silva who read it really well. The Chelsea captain today, a man whose trophy-laden career has few equals in Europe. Those titles with PSG, and also, of course, an ex-AC Milan player, Edouard Mendy, the former Rennes goalkeeper, wearing all orange today, slides the ball out towards Kurt Zuma. Here's N'Golo Kante, who picks out Chilwell. Chilwell pushing and probing, one of the survivors from the victory in Russia in midweek. There were fans, of course, at that game in Krasnodar. I don't know if you saw it, Gabby, but it was almost strange seeing fans in the stadium. Here's Chilwell, left-hand side, tries to find Havertz, gets it back. Here's Mason Mount, tries to play a 1-2. It doesn't come off, and Burnley are able to clear it. We've had 7.5 minutes, Burnley 0, Chelsea 0. I think Burnley would be pretty happy given their current situation and indeed their current record against Chelsea on this ground if they were to pick up at least a point. And Chelsea do have a habit of drawing games this season. They've won 2, drawn 3 and lost 1 of their Premier League games so far, which is not the form of champions, that's for sure. Although they are unbeaten in 8 games, 5 of them have finished level. They drew with Sevilla in the Champions League before beating Krasnodar. Here's Tammy Abraham. He's back inside his own box at the moment, swivels and knocks the ball upfield. It's been a good start by Burnley, hasn't it? As Lowton chips the ball in, Zuma with a powerful header away. Mason Mount can't quite get on it. They've started okay, Burnley, haven't they?
Yeah, you're always going to get this from a Sean Dyche team. They're always going to work hard. You know, everyone in that team is going to be pressing together and working hard. So this won't be an easy game for Chelsea. You look at the Spurs game last week, they just about got the result, and Burnley played very well. So it's not going to be an easy game for Chelsea at all.
Yep. Here's Thiago Silva. He's been acquainted. The regular captain is on the bench today. Plays it across to Kurt Zuma, who's got 2 goals already this season from centre-half. He's never been a prolific provider of goals, but he's popped up on a couple of occasions to find the net for Chelsea. There's Havertz. Across it goes to James, and now Havertz again. Chelsea beginning to open up here. Back to Reece James once more. There's the cross. It deflects up. Havertz gets the header in without any great power, and Nick Pope, wearing his light green goalkeeping strip, comes out and claims comfortably.
You can tell when Chelsea attack, though, how they've got such good quality. You look at Ziyech, Havertz, Werner, Abraham. It's a very attacking team for Frank Lampard, so I feel like they're going to get a lot of chances this game.
Yeah, you would think so. All hoofed forward by Tarkowski for Burnley, controlled by Chris Wood. Now it's with Westwood. And now Lowton on halfway produced a terrific ball for that chance for Barnes early on. That's a ball this time he's played which is slightly misplaced, but Chelsea knock it back, and it ends up with Nick Pope, who takes a little awkward touch to control it but gets it up towards halfway. Here's Mason Mount, dispossessed in midfield by Westwood. Back it goes to Nick Pope again. Where do you think Pope fits, Gabby, in the debate about who should be starting in goal for England?
I really like him, but it's a different era now of a footballer. He needs to be able to play in every position. Even as a goalkeeper, you have to be able to play from the back, and he's sitting there from the ball play back to him. He's in a rush to get rid of it and kick it long, so I think that's the only thing that's ever going to cost him. He's not being able to play from the back.
Here's Mount finding Werner, who didn't expect to be starting but is because of Pulisic's injury. It's a very windy day up on the moors in Lancashire. The wind is blowing into the faces of the Burnley players in this first half. Here's Havertz for Chelsea. Got a hat-trick in a League Cup tie against Grimsby. His first goals for Chelsea. He's also added a goal in the Premier League against Southampton. That's a foul committed by Ashley Barnes inside the centre circle. It's going to be a free kick to Chelsea, which is taken quickly. And N'Golo Kante finds Ben Chilwell on this near side. Support from Mason Mount. Mount with a raking crossfield ball, which Reece James controls with his chest, then hits on the half volley as a cross, but not very well. And James Tarkowski is able just to scoop the ball away for a Chelsea throw. Here's Zuma finding Thiago Silva right on halfway. Chelsea have had 2/3 of the possession in the opening exchanges of this match, which is now 12 minutes old. Mount pushing and probing, and in the end going for the simple square ball to Zuma, who finds Havertz. That's a nice little sidestep by him, and he's picked out Reece James, who does have good delivery with crosses. James in towards Chilwell, heads it down to Mason Mount. It might come to Werner or Ziyech. Ziyech, edge of the penalty area, chips the cross in, not a very good one, away easily by Kevin Long. But here come Chelsea again. This is a good spell of pressure from them. Here's Ziyech. And now Havertz, and Ziyech again midway inside the Burnley half, steers it diagonally across towards Chilwell, who gets the cross in. It looks a little overhit, but it might be rescued on the far side by Jones, who plays a clever ball to Werner, who then gives it away, and Long is able to hook it upfield, and Burnley have a bit of relief, but maybe not for long, because Chelsea come again with Zuma galloping through midfield. It's Mason Mount, centre midfield for Chelsea, finding N'Golo Kante, and Ziyech tries to find James. It doesn't come off, but that was a decent spell by Chelsea, although they couldn't really produce any end product.
No, but it's a promising play, and I've just had a look there. You can just see how attacking Chelsea are going to be playing. Two fullbacks flying forward. They've got Kante sitting, everyone else is attacking, so this is going to be a case of attack first defence this game, and hopefully for Sean Dyche his team can hold out, but they're going to have to be at their best defensively today.
Yep, they certainly are. They've lost both of their home games this season in the Premier League. Burnley by a single goal against Southampton, and the same scoreline against Tottenham on Monday. Well, it's obviously scored yet at home in the Premier League. That needs to be addressed. They weren't bad actually against Spurs. Sean Dyche told us earlier that he felt they were worthy of something. They certainly played well enough to maybe have got a point, but when you're down there and you're up against the likes of Son Heung-min, it is difficult. Here's Timo Werner, who scored in the win against Krasnodar in that long trip to Russia in midweek. As I say, there were at least supporters inside that stadium, which was a novelty really, although they weren't very happy at the end. Chelsea convincing winners over the Russian side. Here's Thiago Silva, still inside his own half, just looking for a little bit of movement up ahead of him. There isn't a great deal, so he finds Kante instead. All his worked across to Werner, who is having to play in a wide position because of the absence of Pulisic. Abraham playing down the centre for Chelsea. Here's Mount finding Kante. Conte, perhaps we should be pronouncing it. Silva, that's a good ball if Reece James can make anything of it. Nods it infield. Ziyech tries to win the header. It falls for Havertz. Brilliant ball into Reece James. James looking for the cross, gets it in. Good one! And Chilwell tried to leap at the far post. Claims he was pushed actually. He was looking to head it into the empty net from the chip cross in from the right-hand side. Referee was completely unmoved. Kante finds Thiago Silva. Back to Kante. Useful looking cross. Abraham with the header, and it's flicked over the bar by Nick Pope. He had it covered, I think, but he couldn't grab it. So Abraham's looping header is pushed away for the game's first corner on 16 minutes.
I think what Chelsea are doing well is the way they're pushing so many players forward. But I feel like this formation that Sean Dyche is playing, 4-4-2, it doesn't look like it's working. They're overrunning midfield. Wood and Barnes are staying on the two centre halves. They need an extra man in that midfield for me.
First corner of the game goes Chelsea's way. Zuma, who's been potent in the air with goals this season, is up there. It's flicked out towards James, who controls it and hits it, and it's blocked, and Chilwell's back header is nodded away. That was a rehearsed move by Chelsea from the corner. Burnley are making a real meal of getting the ball away. Finally, Dwight McNeil manages to hook it back to Ziyech. It was clearly choreographed, wasn't it, that corner, with Reece James, who can hit the ball so sweetly, as Brighton found out on the opening day. But by the time it dropped to him, he was blocked by a defender. Here's Zuma, wearing 15 and wearing gloves. Out to Chilwell, bit of space for the former Leicester City player to exploit down the left-hand side. Chilwell with the chip cross. It's not a good one at all. It's far too high for Tammy Abraham, who's a tall figure himself, and it was also too far away from Hakim Ziyech, who was following up on the far side. Wasted opportunity.
Yeah, it's a good opportunity there. You see this from Reece James. I think that's a foul as well. The replay we're seeing here on earlier on Chilwell on the back post.
Yes,
but
it did look a push,
the only problem I got with Burnley is then you just seen Burnley press there, but they didn't press together. So if you don't press together against a team like Chelsea, you're going to get found out, and that's what just happened.
Actually, I've just looked at it from another angle. I'm not sure there was that much contact from Josh Brownhill on Chilwell as he tried to leap. I think VAR might have, had it been given, chalked that one off, irrelevant in the end, because they didn't seem very interested as Pope gets the ball back into play. Not a very good header by Chelsea, and Burnley have the ball in midfield with Dwight McNeil, who finds the left fullback Charlie Taylor. He's run into trouble, and the ball has gone out of play with him ending up on his knees. Do get in touch with us via Twitter at TalkSport Live if you want to have your say. Let us know where you are and what your comment is on the state of play here, or anything else that is concerning you. Here's Reece James. That's not a good ball. It's intercepted, but only briefly by Burnley. They've won it back now. It was Brownhill who won the initial header and now has it on halfway. 18 and a half minutes gone in Lancashire, and Burnley waste the opportunity to get forward there with a loose ball down the right hand side, which just rolls its way behind for a Chelsea goal kick. Chelsea not having conceded in their last 3 games. The last player to score against them was Yannick Vestergaard of Southampton in that dramatic 3-3 draw. They've made a bit of a habit of 3-3 draws. That was the scoreline Chelsea had in that extraordinary game against West Bromwich Albion, where they trailed by 3 and then came back to get a point. They want to win this one though. Kante finds Abraham. Here's Havertz finding Ziyech. Ziyech, who scored a terrific goal in Russia. The Dutch-born Moroccan international won the double with Ajax already in his career. Here's Kurt Zouma, having to go backwards and feed the ball back to his goalkeeper, Edouard Mendy, who remains a difficult man to beat at the moment. Mount finding Werner, corner of the 18-yard box. This is Timo Werner, square ball but not an accurate one. He was looking for Ziyech, and there was a Burnley player sliding in just to nick the ball out of harm's way for the time being. It's picked up on the near side by Mason Mount. 20 minutes gone at Turf Moor. Burnley 0, Chelsea 0. Just a reminder that Wolverhampton Wanderers were 2-0 winners last night against Crystal Palace, while Manchester City have beaten Sheffield United by a single goal earlier today, scored by Kyle Walker. Here's the ball into the box by Chelsea, and Chilwell, who'd anticipated it, couldn't quite get to the pace of the ball. Puts the thumbs up from the ball by Ziyech, but it bounces away behind. Decent ball in by Hakim Ziyech. What do you make of him as a Chelsea purchase? He was injured in the first part of the campaign, but he's fit now, and he's been retained. It's his 5th appearance of the season.
I really like him, you know. I feel like he's perfect for that right-hand side for Chelsea cutting in. He reminds me a lot of Mahrez at Manchester City, similar sort of player, very tricky and can score goals. I think it's going to be a great signing for them, and it's just about now where he's going to fit in Havertz and Mason Mount. You look at today, he's gone with them 2 players, 2 number 8s, and it's a real attacking team he's put out there today. I think maybe he must have seen what everyone was saying about his team selection and tactics against Manchester United. He's gone the total opposite this game.
Yeah, I mean, they got a point against Manchester United, which is a reasonable result, I suppose, but they didn't do very much to try and win the game, did they? It's a disappointing encounter all round, that one.
I think as well, you know your opposition. You know that Burnley are going to play 4-4-2 and play defensive, so it makes sense to play your attacking players.
Yeah. As I say, they wanted to play Pulisic, but he's nursing an injury, which he picked up in the warm-up. Oh, that's not a very good back pass by Zuma. Now then, did he pull his man back? If he did, then potentially it's a red card. But
he's got that in him, Zuma, so much.
I don't think VAR have looked at it, but he made a mess of it.
That's typical
He was
Zuma.
under pressure from Barnes, and they both went to the ground. No great appeals from Burnley. Here's Chilwell for Chelsea. There's an overlap left with Havertz. He's ignored him and chipped into the box, where it's hooked away by Taylor, and it goes away for a throw into Chelsea. I'd like to see that again, Gabby.
Yeah.
Are VAR checking this, I wonder? I think they might be, you know. Or maybe not. The referee was holding his hand towards his ear, but he said play on. So
it might have been a quick VAR look.
Well, it was a very quick one, but I don't know, my first reaction was Zuma could be in trouble there. We haven't had a chance to get a second look at that, but
I think the only thing that saved him is the keeper was so close, so Barnes wouldn't have got to the ball anyway.
Maybe, yeah, but even so, it might have been a booking, but or certainly a free kick. That wasn't given either. Here's Chilwell going backwards. The sun's just poking through the clouds at Turf Moor, where it's dry but windy, not tremendously cold on Halloween, which is very different this year. You won't get the kids knocking on your door, I don't think, as much as we're used to because of the problems with the coronavirus that we're experiencing at the moment. Header away by Taylor for Burnley, picked up by Mason Mount for Chelsea, who finds Reece James. Back to Mount again, now Havertz. Mount once more, threading together this particular little move and finding Thiago Silva. Chelsea can't find a way through at the moment. It's Mount again. It's not a particularly good touch, but Reece has done well to play a 1-2. Havertz does well also, and Mount with a good run. This is promising for Chelsea, but the ball in's not a great one, and it's defended by Taylor. It's not the first time, Gabby, is it, that Chelsea have got into decent wide positions and not really made the most of it?
Yeah, it's been a bit scrappy when they get into that final third, but the little passing, little triangles that they're making are very impressive. Doesn't need that final cross.
Here is the cross, but again, it's not a good one from Reece James. It's gloved by Nick Pope. Choco Path is listening to us in Accra. Says Mendy will keep a clean sheet today. He's made a habit of doing that in recent weeks. Ibn Arbo, Chelsea will win today, but losing Pulisic is bad news. That's certainly true. Can't wait for Manchester United to thrash Arsenal tomorrow. A United fan in Port Harcourt in Nigeria. Keep the tweets coming. We'll get across as many as we can. 25 minutes played at Turf Moor. No goals yet from a team who don't score many against a side currently who don't concede many. So perhaps it isn't that great a surprise, but Chelsea have certainly lined up as if they mean to get goals today. Here's Havertz over on the far side. Tarkowski does well. Seems to have drifted out of the international picture a little bit, James Tarkowski. Here's N'Golo Kante, who certainly hasn't. Just inside the centre circle. Swaps passes with Ziyech. Out it comes to Zuma. Here's Mason Mount. And he's got Reece James outside him. James with a useful cross. It's headed away by Long. And the clearance is completed by Dwight McNeil. Zuma has to go all the way back to Edouard Mendy as Chelsea player goes down. Thiago Silva, but he's okay, and he takes the free kick, or rather the pass quickly to Abraham, who's bursting forward. It's Tammy Abraham. Brilliant tackle by Charlie Taylor. Great defending by him, because Tammy Abraham had his sights set there. Here come Chelsea, though, upping the ante a bit. Timo Werner cuts it back. Abrahams lays it on, and there's the shot into the net, and it's Hakim Ziyech who's got his first Premier League goal. Beautiful move by Chelsea, really nicely set up, and when he hit it, Ziyech, it stayed hit. It arrowed into the bottom corner, and after 26 minutes, Chelsea have got the lead. Burnley 0, Chelsea 1.
It's a great bit of a layoff play there from Abraham. I mean, you look at the ball now, we can see on the replay, put in by Werner. Abraham, he knows where Ziyech is. It's a first-time shot. He's took it really early, Ziyech, and he's given the keeper no chance. But if you're looking at Burnley's defending, they've got to get tighter to the ball. I think it's Dal Stevens who has Ziyech in his sight. He's got to go out and make a challenge. It's far too easy for Chelsea.
2 goals in 4 days for the Moroccan Hakim Ziyech. Nice touch, as you say, by Abraham, and he just completely wrong-footed Pope. He stuck it inside the near post when I think Pope was expecting it to come across him, and it didn't, and he got too far across to his right-hand side.
I think if you look at it again, though, because we can see the replay here, there's too many players in the way of Pope. He can't even see the ball. That's the problem for keepers sometimes. They can't see the ball. By the time he sees it, it's already past him.
Yeah, it was coming, I suppose. Chelsea were growing in confidence. Ziyech has a smile on his face. Well, he might. He's opened his Premier League account, having opened his Champions League account for Chelsea on that game in Russia. So he's a very happy man at the moment, as will Frank Lampard be. Now the question is, will Chelsea, or can Chelsea, turn the screw and put this game beyond Burnley before half-time? You wouldn't bet against it. They've got a fantastic record against Burnley at Turf Moor. They have taken 16 points out of a possible 18 from the previous Premier League games they've played here. And Burnley, as we've said, 1 win in 24 home games against the Big Six. That was a game against Tottenham a couple of years ago, but they've singularly failed to beat any other of the top clubs. And they've got a battle on their hands here. They've got a battle on their hands generally because of the situation that they're in. And they need to try and make sure that Chelsea don't get another one before half-time, or they could really lose control of this game. But here's Werner coming forward, looking for a second for Chelsea, tries to find Abraham, it bypasses him, and it's slithered away by Charlie Taylor. I think there was an offside flag anyway against Werner as he came forward, but that was another promising opportunity. Yes, Werner was a shade offside, but Burnley are going to have to be careful.
Yeah, and actually, you're looking at the way Chelsea are playing. They've got so many bodies in and around the Burnley back four. I think if you look at Burnley now, they're going to have to maybe change their formation, because you can't really be playing 2 strikers against a team like Chelsea.
Well, they've got the breakthrough, Chelsea. Beautifully set up and nicely finished by Hakim Ziyech, and Burnley, in truth, haven't really got anywhere near Edouard Mendy as yet. You could argue that was the first sort of really on-target effort that Chelsea have had in the game. Now a ball over the top, and a chance maybe for Chris Wood to muscle his way forward. He's sitting on the deck looking at David Coote as if to suggest something should have been given his way. It wasn't. We've had half an hour, and apart from Ashley Barnes' early lob over the bar, Burnley haven't had much say in this game at all. Again, it's good play by Chelsea. Reece James looks very lively today. Here's Havertz crossing halfway. His German compatriot Werner in front of him. Werner pushes it in towards Mount, who finds Chilwell. Chilwell's cross high and hanging, but looping over the head of the back-pedalling Nick Pope and over his crossbar. That's the one thing that Chelsea have lacked, is decent delivery from the flanks, but otherwise you'd have to say they're good value for their 1-0 lead.
Yeah, they've been the best team so far, haven't they? You can see they're getting used to playing with each other now, these Chelsea players, and it's what Frank Lampard's been talking about. He's been asking for time. He wants to get his right team together, get used to playing with each other, and you've seen so far in the first 30 minutes an organised Chelsea performance.
Got Lexi in Nigeria. He says, I think it's he or she, I'm not sure. Listening to live football coverage via radio is not what I imagined doing, but with you guys running commentaries on TalkSport Live, I'll say it's interesting and fascinating. Big up, guys. Thank you. Glad you're enjoying it. If you're a Chelsea fan, you'll be especially enjoying it. I don't know if there are any clarets out there listening, but if you're a Burnley fan, it'd be great to hear from you wherever you are. Don't forget, we've got more action coming thick and fast. Liverpool against West Ham at the conclusion of this one. And 4 games tomorrow, highlighted by Manchester United against Arsenal. That's a free kick to Burnley inside the centre circle, which they want to take quickly but are not able to. Mason Mount was the player who committed the foul. So it's going to be launched forward from a yard inside their own half. Burnley by their in time for a call. Didn't get over the ball and he nodded it backwards, and Burnley have a set piece, and Gabby, this could be their best route to goal.
Yeah, I was just about to say that as well. This is where you can see Burnley getting a goal from. You know, you can't really see them getting a goal from open play the way they've been playing so far. So
it's easy though for Edouard Mendy, right under his crossbar. It was a good in-swinging corner in terms of the flight, but too close to the goalkeeper, who hasn't had much other than that to do so far, and looks a terrific acquisition by Chelsea, who've had so many problems with goalkeepers. We've got Caballero, who's 39 on the bench. He's even older than Petr Cech. He's just celebrated a birthday, actually, Caballero. So you've got a 39-year-old goalkeeper, a 38-year-old hockey goalkeeper, and poor old Kepa, as you said, his confidence must be absolutely shot. Anyway, here's Lowton for Burnley. That's good play. Strong challenge though by Mason Mount to win the ball back for Chelsea. Here's N'Golo Kante finding Kai Havertz. Havertz looks a class act in centre midfield. Seldom wastes the ball, and he's good with keeper 6, the Chelsea captain. He's captain on his debut in that ill-fated game against Liverpool, in which Andreas Christensen was sent off, and Chelsea lost by 2-0. This is their only defeat in the Premier League so far this season, but as I've said, they've drawn too many for their own liking. Back to Mendy by Havertz. Mendy, no nonsense, hoists it up towards half bucket quickly, but is not able to. And finally it finds its way back to Thiago Silva, who just looks a steadying presence, doesn't he, in the centre of defence. I know he's, getting on a bit these days. He's in his mid-30s, but he's got so much experience. Here's Reece James. He's had a good game on the right-hand side. That's a good ball to Werner, who wanted to turn and shoot but didn't control it properly. James again. Werner again. And again he's not able to turn, and the ball is smuggled away by Burnley up towards Chris Wood, the New Zealander, who is fouled by Kurt Zouma. It's going to be a free kick to Burnley with just over 10 minutes to go to half-time. But James has been a really good outlet for Chelsea. He and Havertz and Mount have combined neatly, haven't they?
Yeah, I've been really impressed with Reece James. For me, he's England's best right-back. He offers defensively ability, and he offers the attacking as well. He puts in a great cross, and we've seen he can score a goal as well, and he's been outstanding this first half. And that's what, you feel sorry for the Burnley defence, because they've got players with quality all over the pitch. Chelsea.
He is, of course, an England international, Reece James, but under rather bizarre circumstances. He made his debut in the excellent win against Belgium, but then stupidly got himself sent off after the final whistle for having a go at the referee. He's the first England player ever to be sent off on his debut in a game where England had 2 sent off for the first time ever as well. Here's goalkeeper Mendy preparing to get the ball back into play. Sean Dyche is in deep conversation. Yesterday was the 8th anniversary of his arrival at Burnley. He's the longest serving manager in the Premier League. He's the 3rd longest serving manager in the whole of English professional football. But you just wonder whether he's a little bit frustrated. They didn't reinforce very much. They have brought Dale Stephens in, who's in today, but when you look at their bench, it's not particularly inspiring. as Charlie Taylor squats down and heads from a low height back to goalkeeper Nick Pope. 9 minutes to go to half-time. Burnley 0, Chelsea 1. Goal scored by Hakim Ziyech. Low from 18 yards into the corner for his first Premier League goal. And Burnley have conceded a free kick here. It's very, very hard, Gabby, to look at this situation and offer any hope really for Burnley, because they, as you say, they're set up defensively. They've got the two big men up front, but they're not really finding them.
Yeah,
nobody's getting wide for Burnley. There's been no delivery from the flanks. I know Goodmanson's missing, but McNeil's been quiet. It's hard to make a case for them. Anyway, that's a lovely ball by Abrahams. Chilwell is onto it. Left-hand side. Decent looking cross. Oh, and no one was there to nod it in for Chelsea. It was just a fraction in front of Werner. Taylor in the...
I mean, Pope sold himself and there was nowhere near it. He could have scored that. But I look at the Burnley's formation now.
Oh, quickly taken corner. Here's Werner, edge of the box, clips it into that penalty area. Tammy Abraham's header goes nowhere in particular, up rather than towards the goal, and it's hooked away by Burnley. Reece James will slide it back to N'Golo Kante. That was Chelsea's second corner of the game.
Yeah, I was about to say, I look at Burnley now, you can see Barnes has gone onto the right, so he has changed formation, which I said he should do because the two strikers wasn't working. He's now gone to a 4-5-1.
Yeah, you have to do something, but at the moment it's not a game that Burnley look capable of winning. Here's Kante. Sheffield United already beaten by a single goal by Manchester City, so at the moment they are below Burnley in the table. Here's Mason Mount trying to get it forward. It's Cannon off a defender. Cleared by Burnley. Here's Barnes finding Westwood. Tenacious, over tenacious in fact, by Kante, who commits a foul. It's a Burnley free kick. 6.5 minutes to go until half time. Lowton standing over the ball. They haven't been lucky with injuries. They do miss Ben Mee and Jack Cork in midfield, and Phil Barsley is an experienced defender as well. So they've got three key players out, and Johan Berg Gudmundsson being added to that doesn't help them with a calf injury. But Burnley, we talked about the struggle they're going to have to get back into this game. You can't see anything but a struggle season long for Burnley, can you?
100%. You look at them now, even when they get the ball, they don't seem to have any options. It's like they're playing with a man down when they don't really want any of their centre midfields to make a run forward. So you can only see a long season for Burnley and a frustrating season for Sean Dyche, because I could imagine he would have wanted a lot more players in the team.
Good ball by Tarkowski though, finds McNeil. Here's Stevens, former Brighton player. Chance here perhaps for Barnes, who lays it off. Bit better from Burnley. McNeil out wide. Taylor with the cross, away by Zuma though, and it goes out of play. That's a little bit better. It's the first time really they've got down either flank in the entire proceedings.
And that's what they have to do. They have to get the ball wide. They've got the two big lads up front and get some crosses in. And that was the first time we've seen it in nearly 40 minutes.
Absolutely. Here is one of those big lads, Ashley Barnes, but he can't make any contact, and Hakim Ziyech has picked it up for Chelsea on the edge of the penalty area and found Ben Chilwell. The one thing Burnley will not want to do is concede again, but they're almost cut open there, but Tarkowski got back to nod it into the gloves of Pope, with two Chelsea players looking to get on the end of that long ball. Here's Lowton crossing halfway for the Clarets, pushing the ball forward to Barnes, and now McNeil. We don't seem to have any width at all, Burnley, because McNeil is a wide player, but he's almost playing in a central midfield position. The two fullbacks are not over adventurous. But 5 minutes left to try and rescue this situation. Ball is out wide on the right hand side with Matt Lowton, who tries to get it forward for Burnley. Chelsea's turn to push it down the line towards Tammy Abraham. And a bit of of a lull in the proceedings at the moment. So Burnley coming forward with Taylor, getting the ball into the box, but not to any great advantage to the Clarets. We're approaching half-time. They do have a corner, which will be taken from the far side of the field. Westwood took the last one. It's swirled in, but harmlessly so. Tammy Abraham takes it down on his chest and gets it forward. And Chelsea edge towards half-time with this precious one-goal lead, and an injury at the moment to Thiago Silva, their captain, who's gone down inside the penalty area. And what happened there, he went diving in and crashed to the ground. And, I think he's going to be okay. He's up on his feet again.
I feel like it's the perfect game for him, though. I mean, he's playing against two strikers that won't be able to pace him. He loves the battle. He's a tough centre-half, isn't he? I think he'll be more scared of playing against the likes of Salah, Mane.
Okay, well, we've got a few sort of slight technical issues here, which is making life a little bit difficult for us, but bear with us. Gabby, what will Chelsea be looking to do at half-time? I mean, I think Frank Lampard will be saying we need another goal.
Another two goals.
and early, just to nail it down, really.
Yeah, he'll tell them to keep going, keep trying to score, because it's happened a lot this season where even 3 goals sometimes isn't enough. So he'll be telling his team to go out there second half and keep trying to score. Don't just sit on a 1-0 lead.
Got some tweets coming in. Ikwe Chukwuebuka, I think that's the correct pronunciation, I hope so. The best result Chelsea will get in this game is a draw. Fatigue will set in. That is a factor potentially, although he has made changes from the Russian trip. But at the moment, you know, Chelsea may well be fatigued, but even a fatigued Chelsea is not going to face an awful lot from this Burnley side.
And I think it will be a very fatigued Burnley side second half. The amount of running they'll have to do.
Yeah, exactly that. Not a lot of the ball.
You're looking at Barnes on the right wing now. I mean, I've been there as a striker. You don't want to play there. He'll be putting in the shift now, and you know he's not used to playing there, so he'll be very tired and fatigued. So I can see Chelsea being okay. They've got 3 changes available anyway.
Yeah, we're into the last minute of the first half. Still Burnley 0, Chelsea 1. A goal by Hakim Ziyech. Burnley have pepped up a little bit since the last 5 minutes or so, but so far Edouard Mendy's impressive record of clean sheets is looking set to go on. Is Sean Dyche going to make any changes? Do you think, Gabby, as we've said, he's got a very inexperienced bench? There are 2 players on it who haven't made any Premier League experiences at all, Max Thompson and Lewis Richardson, so he doesn't have a lot of options.
I think he's for me, I'll bring Rodriguez on. I mean, he's been quality whenever I've seen him play, works hard, can score a goal, and I feel like he has more legs as well than Wood and Barnes, so that'll be one that'll be worth bringing on, and maybe even Vidra. Maybe just giving the 2 strikers a rest.
Chance for Chelsea to make it 2-0 with the ball into the box. Timo Werner was onto it, but it's ended up in the gloves of Nick Pope, to the huge relief of Sean Dyche, because had that gone in, then it might have been curtains for Burnley. Just a minute to be added on at the end of the first half. The Werner chance certainly smothered by the keeper, who did well. Otherwise, as I said, it would have been a major problem for Burnley. As it is, Chelsea are trying to finish with a flourish. Ball is in midfield with Thiago Silva, edge of the penalty area, and they're just trying to eat up the clock, really. We're looking again at the Timo Werner opportunity, but it was dealt with by Nick Pope. Almost up to a minute played. David Coop looks at his watch, and half-time will be upon us in just a couple of moments. Hakim Ziyech's goal, beautifully set up by Tammy Abraham with a lovely touch that cushioned the ball back to the Dutch-born Moroccan striker, who rifled it into the corner of the net. That is half-time, and that is the goal that separates the two teams at the interval. It is Burnley 0, Chelsea 1. You're listening to Premier League Live.
This October, watch the big games every weekend with Sky Sports and Sports Extra half price. This week it's Man United Arsenal, live only on Sky Sports. In one of the Premier League's most historic fixtures. Get Sky Sports, BT Sport and Premier Sports half price for 6 months. Search Sky Sports Sale. New sports customers only. Standard pricing applies after 6 months or if cancelling one element of the bundle. Minimum term and further terms apply.
Let's talk about you looking after your business. Ford, looking after your vehicle. Let's talk hassle-free Ford leasing. Just a fixed monthly payment, no motor tax to deal with, and no maintenance or servicing to pay on selected plans. Get the new Ford Puma from €385 per month. Hassle-free Ford lease. Now we're talking. Search Ford lease or text Ford to 50015 to speak to us about leasing your next vehicle.
Text cost a standard rate. Price quoted for a Puma Titanium with no maintenance over 4 years with 3 monthly rentals in advance. 20,000 kilometres per annum. Business users only. Price excludes VAT. Ford lease is provided by Marion Fleet Management, trading as Ford Lease.
Get ready and hold on tight, because the Premier League is here! Which teams will stay on track? And who'll go off the rail? Get the Irish Sun for top transfer news, exclusive star interviews and opinions from the biggest names in football. Plus expert analysis of every action-packed match in our fantastic goals pull-out each weekend. Stay up to speed, because you never know what the Premier League is going to throw up. Pick up the Irish Sun today.
This is not the time for business as usual. It's time for effort and imagination. It's time to use technology to start your online plans. It's time to work from home, to stay in touch. It's time to look to each other. Scá Céile. Ireland is working online with help from Black Knight and .ie, because now we need better than business as usual. Call Black Knight on 059 918 3027 or visit blackknight.ie.
123ink.ie for all your home office needs, including printers, ink, toners, paper, label markers, binders, pens, bins, batteries, boxes, chalk, compass, files, memory sticks, highlighters, glue, notepads, pencils, Whoa! And we're cheaper than your current supplier. 123ink.ie for home, for office, for less.
Introducing Guardson Sport. Protect your sporting equipment from COVID-19 for up to 14 days with Guardson Sport disinfectant treatment. Ideal in team sport settings with the sharing of balls, rackets, gloves, helmets, and all other sporting equipment. Guardson Sport kills COVID-19 on impact, keeping surfaces free from COVID-19 and other viruses and bacteria for up to 14 days by creating a protective polymer layer on application. For more information on Guardson Sport and other quality assured, certified and approved PPE, visit yourcovidprotection.com.
Welcome back. Half-time at Turf Moor. Chelsea with the lead in a game where Burnley have struggled to impose themselves. These were the highlights of the opening 45. Lowton, who spreads it. It's a useful ball. It's controlled well. It's a great chance, and it's been lofted over the top of the crossbar by Ashley Barnes. It was a glorious opportunity for Burnley. Lovely, lovely ball by Lowton. Zuma didn't pick up the man on his shoulder.
Frank Lampard must be shaking his head on the touchline, because that's a story of Chelsea's season so far. Defensively, Zuma's not looking at the man, he's looking at the ball, and it's real schoolboy defending from Zuma.
Abrahams lays it up, and there's the shot into the net, and it's Hakim Ziyech who's got his first Premier League goal. Beautiful move by Chelsea, really nicely set up, and when he hit it, Ziyech, it stayed hit. It arrowed into the bottom corner.
Abraham, he knows where Ziyech is. It's a first-time shot. He's took it really early, Ziyech, and he's given the keeper no chance. But if you're looking at Burnley's defending, they've got to get tighter to the ball. I think it's Dal Stevens who has Ziyech in his sight. He's got to go out and make a challenge. Far too easy for Chelsea.
Burnley 0, Chelsea 1. Well, those were the first half highlights. It is, of course, the third game of the Premier League weekend, which started on Friday with Wolverhampton Wanderers 2, Crystal Palace 0. If you've just joined us, Manchester City were victorious over Sheffield United in today's early kick-off by a single goal. Let's hear how that happened with Russ Hargreaves.
Well, despite dominating the stats, City made pretty hard work of this win, but even though Pep Guardiola's men were once again far from their free-flowing best, they crucially got the job done, given what's been an indifferent start to the domestic season by their lofty standards. Back on his old stomping ground, Kyle Walker bagged a well-taken winner approaching the half hour, marking his 100th City appearance in the Premier League in memorable fashion from 25 yards out. City could and should have had several more, with Ferran Torres and Riyad Mahrez going particularly close, both denied by Aaron Ramsdale, and the visitors were almost made to pay for their lack of potency late on when Rhian Brewster was put clean through. The former Liverpool youngster caught in two minds though, and rather than rounding Ederson, he tried to nick the ball over the advancing keeper, who made a critical save. Sub John Lundstrom also fired over after great work by Sander Berger, leaving the blunted Blades second bottom of the table and still with just a 1 point to their name from 7 games. Only 4 clubs have ever stayed up in Premier League history from such a perilous position, while in contrast City are up to 7th, and for them there was to be no Halloween horror show. They've now overtaken Arsenal with this their record 11th win on the date of October the 31st. Full time, Sheffield United 0, Manchester City 1.
No Halloween horror show from the spooky and scary Russell Hargreaves there. Thanks to him for that. Just confirmation that City move up in the table and Sheffield United stay rooted in the bottom 3, which is where Burnley are at the moment. Let's get the thoughts of Pep Guardiola, the City manager, after that win. He felt that his side had complete control over the game.
Really good. It's our third game in 7 days away, all of them. And we played to score. We had chances to score a lot of goals, and when you was 0-1, always you suffer. They had one clear chance, but no more than that, so that's why we are incredibly satisfied for the game we played.
Well, that was the thoughts of Pep Guardiola. As I mentioned, Sheffield United, along with Burnley, who we're watching here, are in deep, deep trouble. They stay second from bottom behind Burnley at the moment after that defeat, and their manager Chris Wilder, who enjoyed so much success with the club last season, admits that today they were not good enough.
We didn't show any quality at all, and it's not enough for me as a manager for my players to run around and compete and be aggressive and be enthusiastic. That's, as I keep saying, is a given, but you know, you're up against world-class players, so if you keep turning the ball over and giving them an opportunity to keep it away from you, they're going to do it, and they certainly did that, and we didn't obviously do enough going forward.
Well, I suppose that result, Gabby, is a crumb of comfort for Burnley, one of their relegation rivals, losing. Fulham, of course, are the bottom club, and they play West Bromwich Albion. Is it too early to call it a 6-pointer? I think probably not, actually. But, you know, the problem with Burnley, I think Chris Wilder said it about Sheffield United, and it applies to Burnley as well. No quality at all.
That's the thing, like he said there. Working hard is a given. You don't want to be just a team that works hard, because it's not enough in the Premier League. Look at Leeds, they work hard, but they've got quality and they're organised. A lot of teams now all work hard, so you're going to have that bit of quality to get results and get goals. And you're looking at Sheffield United and Burnley, even Fulham and West Brom so far, they don't look like they've got that quality in them, in their squads. And I think all 4 of them teams are going to be fighting to stay in the league come near the end of the season. I feel like he says, Fulham West Brom is a relegation dogfight game, and I feel like Sheffield United and Burnley could do playing each other at the moment, just like one of them can get a win.
Yeah,
you know, a little 1-0 win, because sometimes you can get found out. Last year Sheffield United were outstanding, their formation, the way they work so hard, but teams find you out, teams watch you and do the research, and now they know that if they can work as hard as Sheffield United, their quality is going to come through and win the game.
Yeah, we still have 4 as it stands, teams without a win. West Bromwich Albion have drawn 3 of their 6. Burnley, Sheffield United and Fulham have 1 point apiece, although Burnley, of course, have played 1 game fewer than Sheffield United. West Brom, as I mentioned, playing Fulham. That will be a big game tomorrow on Monday And you can hear that one with us. Frank Lampard will be telling his players, keep up the quality, the goals will come, but preferably sooner rather than later. Because if Chelsea score early in the second half, and I remember the game, I think we both did it, didn't we? Crystal Palace game where it ended, was it Clive? I can't remember who I was working with. But, you know, Chelsea were pretty poor first half, but then in the second half, they scored 4 goals. And from the moment Chilwell got the first of those, there was only one winner. And that, you sense that could happen again today.
Yeah, you sense that, but then I think Lampard will be telling his players that this Burnley side, if it wasn't for Harry Kane clearing one off the line last week, could have won the game. So they'll have their chance or chances in this second half. So one goal may not be enough. So I think he'll be telling them to keep how they're playing and keep trying to keep scoring goals, because Burnley, yes, they've not been great first half, but they've got players in that team that can do something.
Yep, the two frontmen, certainly Barnes and Wood, have got goals in them. Dwight McNeil on his day is a useful player, although he's been very quiet so far. But Chelsea will be hoping that if they can get an early second goal, then surely it would put the lid on it and it would take them up the table into currently 5th place and potentially 4th, depending on how many they might get. We've got the second half coming up live on Premier League Live.
This October, watch the big games every weekend with Sky Sports and Sports Extra half price. This week it's Man United Arsenal, live only on Sky Sports. In one of the Premier League's most historic fixtures. Get Sky Sports, BT Sport and Premier Sports half price for 6 months. Search Sky Sports Sale. New Sports customers only. Standard pricing applies after 6 months or if cancelling one element of the bundle. Minimum term and further terms apply.
Let's talk about you looking after your business. Ford, looking after your vehicle. Let's talk hassle-free Ford leasing. Just a fixed monthly payment, no motor tax to deal with, and no maintenance or servicing to pay on selected plans. Get the new Ford Puma from €385 per month. Hassle-free Ford lease. Now we're talking. Search Ford lease or text Ford to 50015 to speak to us about leasing your next vehicle.
Text cost a standard rate. Price quoted for a Puma Titanium with no maintenance over 4 years with 3 monthly rentals in advance. 20,000 kilometres per annum. Business users only. Price excludes VAT. Ford lease is provided by Merriam Fleet Management, trading as Ford Lease.
Get ready and hold on tight, because the Premier League is here! Which teams will stay on track? And who'll go off the rail? Get the Irish Sun for top transfer news, exclusive star interviews and opinions from the biggest names in football. Plus expert analysis of every action-packed match in our fantastic goals pull-out each weekend. Stay up to speed, because you never know what the Premier League is going to throw up. Pick up the Irish Sun today.
This is not the time for business as usual. It's time for effort and imagination. It's time to use technology to start your online plans. It's time to work from home, to stay in touch. It's time to look to each other. Scoil Céile. Ireland is working online with help from Black Knight and .ie, because now we need better than business as usual. Call Black Knight on 059 918 3027 or visit blackknight.ie.
123ink.ie for all your home office needs, including printers, ink, toners, paper, label markers, binders, pens, bins, batteries, boxes, chalk, compass, files, memory sticks, highlighters, glue, notepads, pencils, Whoa! And we're cheaper than your current supplier. 123ink.ie for home, for office, for less.
Introducing Guardson Sport. Protect your sporting equipment from COVID-19 for up to 14 days with Guardson Sport disinfectant treatment. Ideal in team sport settings with the sharing of balls, rackets, gloves, helmets, and all other sporting equipment. Guardson Sport kills COVID-19 on impact, keeping surfaces free from COVID-19 and other viruses and bacteria for up to 14 days by creating a protective polymer layer on application. For more information on Guardson Sport and other quality assured, certified and approved PPE, visit yourcovidprotection.com.
You're listening to TalkSport's coverage of Burnley against Chelsea from Turf Moor. I'm your host, John Anderson. Alongside me is the former Aston Villa and England striker, Gabby Agbon-Lahore. This is Premier League Live. The two teams just returning to the surface area of Turf Moor. Chelsea all in blue, Burnley in claret and blue, of course, and Chelsea a goal to the good, scored by Hakim Ziyech, the Moroccan who they bought from Ajax for £33 million, getting his first Premier League goal to add to the one that he got in the Champions League against Krasnodar in that 4-0 win in Russia in midweek. Gabi Agbonlahor suggested that Jay Rodriguez might come on for the second half, and it looks as if that is about to happen. Rodriguez is standing at the side of the pitch with his training top off and is about to be introduced. I'm just trying to check on who he's going to replace, but he is going to come on for the whole of the second half. Certainly a player who has got a goal up his sleeve, Rodriguez. He's been a regular scorer at most of the clubs he's been involved in. In fact, he's too short of 100 league goals, Rodriguez, so if he can get a couple today, it would be a significant landmark. I think he's replaced Ashley Barnes. I'll confirm that for you. The referee, David Coote, is just making sure that everything's in place as he prepares to blow his whistle for the start of the second half. Can Chelsea go on and seal a notable victory which would take them into the top four, or can Burnley, who've hitherto looked pretty toothless, but with Jay Rodriguez up front for them, manage to claw their way back into this game? We're back underway, and ball is played across by Taylor. Forward it goes, but away by Zuma. Lovely goal by Ziyech to put Chelsea in front, sweeping it low into the corner from 18 yards after a nice setup by Tammy Abraham. Burnley have a throw midway inside the Chelsea half. It's Dale Stevens, in fact, who's been withdrawn for Burnley to make way for Jay Rodriguez. So that Gabby, is a very positive substitution. Gabby will be with us in just a sec because we've got a free kick here, which offers Burnley an opportunity, perhaps with Rodriguez on. Dwight McNeil is standing over the ball for the Clarets. First minute of the second half. In it comes, headed away, but then back in and away by Zuma. And Mason Mount dispossessed. And in it comes from Taylor. It's a useful looking cross, but Chelsea have dealt with it. Back in by Tarkovsky from the right hand side, and then hoofed away by Thiago Silva. But this has been a promising start by Burnley. Here's their captain, Westwood. It's a really poor ball, though. He's trying to get things moving down the inside right channel, but he scooped it with too much power on it, and it has gone behind for a goal kick.
You're right, though, about Rodriguez coming on. You know, whenever I've seen him play this season, he's been outstanding, and I think Burnley have finally realised that this defensive approach is not going to work against Chelsea.
First touch of the ball for Edouard Mendy, who's maintained this clean sheet record. This is his 6th appearance for Chelsea. In 4 of the last 5, he has kept a clean sheet. He's only conceded 1 goal. That was at Spurs in the League Cup, but he'll be keen to maintain that record as Burnley try and get forward and move it down the right-hand side. But Chelsea try to clear it, but Burnley have been positive in this second half, not just in their substitution with Rodriguez coming on, but also the way they've taken the game to Chelsea, although they've conceded a free kick here, which is disappointing because they had a little bit of momentum, but that has ebbed away. They haven't beaten Chelsea at home since 1983. That was in Division 2. They haven't beaten them in the top flight since the 1970s at Turf Moor. Only 1 win by Burnley ever against Chelsea in the Premier League format. It was 3-2 at Stamford Bridge 3 years ago. Chelsea with Thiago Silva finds Kante. Back it goes to Edouard Mendy. Mendy to Zuma. Goalkeeper plays a 1-2 with the big defender who hoofs it up towards halfway. Just a reminder, no Christian Pulisic for Chelsea, because he was injured in the warm-up and replaced by Timo Werner. So Burnley have Nick Pope in goal, a back four of Matt Lowton, James Tarkowski, Kevin Long and Charlie Taylor. In midfield they have Ashley Westwood, Josh Brownhill and Dwight McNeil, and they now have the three big men up front. Jay Rodriguez on as a sub alongside Chris Wood and Ashley Barnes. Chelsea have Edouard Mendy in goal, back four of Reece James, Kurt Zouma, Thiago Silva and Ben Chilwell. Across midfield, N'Golo Kante, Kai Havertz and Mason Mount. Up front, goal scorer Hakim Ziyech alongside Tammy Abraham and Timo Werner. Chelsea have got a free kick with 4 minutes played of the second half, and it's in a useful position this. It's about 25-30 yards from goal, but it is quite central. Reece James and Mason Mount, the two young England players, are currently standing over the ball. It looks as if Mason Mount is going to try his luck. It would take a terrific effort to beat his England teammate Nick Pope from here, but here comes Mason Mount, and it's in the end the distance beat him. He got it on target, but Pope had no trouble at all in just dropping down to his knees to gather the ball. So that was first chance of the second half really for Chelsea, who had another effort on goal quickly after that one, which was Mount again, who saw Pope once more in the right place at the right time. A little bit ambitious, that free kick, Gabby?
Yeah, no, not really.
No?
I think that these players are, you know, the superstars. They've got that in the locker. You know, if that went in the top corner, we'd be patting him on the back. So, no, I think these players, they've got the right to have a go from there.
Yeah. 6 minutes gone. Second half, Burnley 0, Chelsea 1. Burnley will stay bottom three if it stays like this. Chelsea currently fifth, but goal difference could make a difference, and they could go as high as fourth. Just a reminder, we've got more action coming up for you this afternoon with Liverpool against West Ham from Anfield. That'll be a corker. West Ham in good form. Ball hoisted upfield, but from that disastrous game against Aston Villa, Liverpool have done pretty well themselves, doing well in their Champions League group as well. Here's Ben Chilwell with the throw-in for Chelsea.
It looks like Dwight McNeil is playing a bit central now as maybe a number 10, with Barnes to the left, Rodriguez to the right and Wood up front, so a different formation from Burnley.
Well, they had to try something, didn't they? Whether it'll come off or not, we'll have to wait and see. Here's Kai Havertz, bit of space for him down the right-hand side. He's got an overlap with Reece James. Here's James now, looking to clip one of those useful crosses in. That's not a very good one. It's headed away, but the header isn't great, and Rodriguez does well to find Lowton again, whose initial header put him under pressure, and that clearance has only dropped as far as Ben Chilwell, but he goes all the way back to Thiago Silva as Chelsea look to get an early goal, which would, you would think, to all intents and purposes, end the game. It doesn't always end like that, of course, as they found out against Southampton earlier in the season, but they've controlled this game largely without being outstanding. They've been efficient, and they've got their goal, which was nicely taken. Burnley have a throw-in on the far side. Jay Rodriguez just making his way into the penalty area as it's played out to Westwood, and then in comes the first time cross. Brave diving header away by Thiago Silva, and then the ball just bounces off a Burnley player and behind for a goal kick. What have you made of the opening 9 minutes of the second half, Gabby?
I feel like it's better from Burnley. They're not giving as much respect to this Chelsea team. They're pushing them further forward, and I feel like the substitution is going to be a good one. I feel like Rodriguez can make things happen. He's got more legs than Dale Stevens, who was on earlier, so I think it's a promising second half for Burnley, and Chelsea definitely, for me, need to get another goal.
Yep. 10 minutes into it, Mendy knocks the ball upfield towards halfway. Header by Abraham and then nodded on by Mason Mount. A little bit too strong. He's looking for Ziyech, but Ziyech trying to win it back off Tarkowski. There's a real tangle between the two of them, and in the end the Chelsea goal scorer pulls James Tarkowski down, and it's a free kick in favour of Burnley, who are enduring their worst run at home in the Premier League since 2010. Lost their last 3 consecutive home matches. They haven't scored at home yet this season, which will be an immense worry. Here's Kante, and Mount controls it brilliantly, but that's a very good tackle by Burnley. The ball has been won back by them, pushed forward by Brownhill, and now Dwight McNeil, who switches the play to the near side, the left as Burnley attack. It's Charlie Taylor finding Dwight McNeil. As you said, Gabby, he's very much playing in a central creative midfield role at the moment. The ball is worked out to the opposite flank now. Here is McNeil in that central midfield position, managing to find Tarkowski. Much pace about this attack from Burnley, if you can call it an attack. They're still pretty much in their own half with Josh Brownhill, who finds Tarkowski, and now Westwood, the captain, but they're going backwards, further and further back, Burnley. It's a high press from Chelsea. It ends up at the feet of Pope, who knocks it upfield. Thiago Silva with the header, but it'll drop for Dwight McNeil. McNeil forward in towards Ashley Barnes. Good defending again by Reece James, who's arguably been the best player on the field. Burnley take the throw in quickly. James scored a thunderbolt of a goal on the opening day at Brighton in Chelsea's opening day win. Here's Charlie Taylor for Burnley, still looking for their first Turf Moor goal of the Premier League season. It's cut back nicely, but it was Timo Werner who picked it up. He found Havertz. Havertz has uncharacteristically given the ball away, and here come Burnley. The shot deflects, and it's not far wide. Ashley Barnes hit it left foot. It took a big deflection in the area, and thankfully for Chelsea, it took the ball wide of the post. It will be a corner, but that is the closest Burnley have come to a goal.
This is what you want to see from Burnley, though. I mean, they've not been getting any crosses in, so Barnes has thought to himself, let me have a little shot from distance. And it's not a bad effort. I don't think it's a corner, is it? I think it wasn't a deflection.
It wasn't. It looked a deflection.
It wasn't a deflection,
a lot of movement.
But that's what you want to see. Get some shots on target and test his keeper.
Yeah, it looked like a deflection to me, but you're right, it's not. Shot came on the 57th minute. A bit more positive from Burnley, as they have to be. Sheffield United's crumb of comfort, I suppose, in their defeat against Manchester City when they didn't play well, is that it was only 1-0. And as relegated teams discovered last season, conceding lots of goals in games against the Big Six can be very costly. But Sheffield United remain with only 1 point from their 7 games. This is Burnley's 6th game, because they didn't play on the opening weekend when Manchester United and Manchester City were spared fixtures because of European congestion. Free kick to Burnley, just inside the Chelsea half.
They need to make the most of these free kicks now. They need a good delivery from Westwood, get the big 2 centre-halves up and try and get something on target here.
Well, it's an opportunity this. McNeil and Westwood are the 2 clarets standing over the ball. There's plenty of similar coloured shirts to aim at. McNeil has his fingers raised as if he's going to roll it in left-footed, but he doesn't. It's taken instead by Westwood. That's a bit dozy from Chelsea in the box. Barnes has it, tries to get it back. Rodriguez, Tarkowski shoots from 18 yards, gets his left foot underneath the ball and hoists it over the crossbar, but that'll encourage Burnley, because they've had as many attempts on goal in the opening 13 minutes as the second half as they did in the whole of the first.
Yeah, and the little things like this, it takes a deflection and you get a scrappy goal. That's what Burnley are probably going to need to get back in this game, but you're looking at them now, they're pressing higher up. It's definitely a better performance from them this half.
Almost up to an hour played. Here's Ashley Westwood, the Burnley captain, on halfway, rolling it forward. Much better from his team. Dwight McNeil under pressure finds Brownhill. Brownhill with the ball again inside the centre circle, plays a chip ball out wide towards Matt Lowton with a clever nutmeg, but then he just overran the ball and Chelsea were able to knock it out of play on the halfway line. Burnley are being told to go back to the right position to take the throw in. Frank Lampard is wearing a blue zip-up jacket and a bit of a frown at the moment. He won't be terribly impressed, I don't think, with the way Chelsea have started this second half. They've barely had the ball and they've made mistakes as well, although Kante has been held back there to give Chelsea a free kick, and they just need to up the ante a little bit, Chelsea, don't they? They've been a bit sluggish in the second half.
It'd be very frustrating for Lampard as well. You would have said Lampard, you'll expect better from them in the last 30 minutes.
Here's Burnley again, but Chelsea have nipped that one in the bud. DJ Keefe has had to shift locations to the car for the second half, but he wants to keep the commentary going. He reckons Burnley have got an equaliser in them. Chelsea always have a mistake in them. There's a picture of your steering wheel. You've got a Porsche or a Porsche, a posh sports car. It must be fun to drive around. And I'm glad you're listening to us and enjoying the ride. Here come Chelsea, who've been a little lacklustre in the second half. Ben Chilwell, though, has it wide on the left-hand side. This is N'Golo Kante. And now Thiago Silva. Kante again, far side. It's better from Chelsea. Here's Ziyech looking to make something happen. Finds Chilwell. Chilwell's got an overlap, but he's found Ziyech infield as well. He chips it in towards Werner. Werner can't control it, and it's hooked away for a throw-in by James Tarkowski. That was a bit more like it from Chelsea.
Yeah, it's a bit more like it, but it's just that final touch, isn't it? The final ball that they're lacking at the moment. They can get that right. They've definitely got more goals in them this game.
He's been quiet, Werner, hasn't he? He's on the ball here. Finds Chilwell. Chilwell thinks about a ball to Abraham. Werner lets it roll across him and can't find Ziyech. But Chelsea have won this back. Here's Hakim Ziyech looking for a second goal. But a last-ditch tackle from Charlie Taylor. He's probably been Burnley's best defender at full stretch. Toe pokes it away from Chelsea's goal scorer and behind at the expense of a corner.
You can tell that Ziyech is a good player, though. He looks very sharp, doesn't he? And this Burnley defence, I mean, it's not long now, I don't think, before Chelsea are going to start pushing for that second goal.
Scored 9 goals as an attacking midfielder for Ajax in the Eredivisie last season in Holland. Mason Mount will take the corner. 62.5 minutes played at Turf Moor. It's an outswinger, and there's the header. It's Zuma again. What a knack he has this season for finding the net from set pieces. It's an absolute bullet of a header from Kurt Zuma. That's the third time he's scored this season, and that one might well have settled this game. Burnley 0, Chelsea 2.
It's a great ball from Mount for the free kick. You know, that's the quality that Mount could bring to the team. We look at the replay here. But you've got to look at and question Burnley. I mean, Burnley are never going to score a lot of goals, and you always count on them to be very good defensively. But Tarkowski just stands there and doesn't even lay a glove on Zuma. It's a free header from 5 yards out.
It's a fantastic header. He scored on the opening day against Brighton and Hove Albion, and he also scored in that 4-0 win against Crystal Palace, and it looks like that header is going to herald another win for Chelsea. Absolute bullet of a header, but as you say, poorly defended. So Ziyech and Zuma. Now, I don't know the answer to this question. I wonder if ever and when a Premier League team has had two different goal scorers, both with surnames beginning with Z. Somebody somewhere will know, and it isn't me, unfortunately. It probably happens a lot in Poland, but it doesn't happen so often in England. But it's double Z for Chelsea and 2-0 to Chelsea. And that's broken Burnley hearts, I would think, a little bit. They've come out, they've played fairly well. Sean Dyche will have been pleased. They concede a set piece, and sloppy defending costs them the concession of a second goal, and with it you'd think any hope of getting anything out of this game.
Yeah, I just mean, if you don't score a lot of goals, you can't defend how poorly they're defending that set piece. Burnley are never going to score 3 or 4 goals a game. They might score the odd 1 or 2 goals. So they have to be superb at the back, and if you're leaving someone like Zuma, who's renowned for scoring headers from corners, unmarked, then you're asking for it. Sean Dyche would be very frustrated at that second goal.
Well, Chelsea have had 13 different goal scorers this season. Burnley have only scored 3. Nobody in Burnley shirt has scored more than 1 goal in the Premier League in this campaign, so it doesn't really add up to any great confidence for the Burnley fans, who are looking on, of course, and listening in, unable to attend, but following, of course, the Premier League, as we all are, at a distance. Here come Chelsea. Are they going to go for the jugular here or sit on the 2-0? They did exactly the same against Palace, where Zuma got the second goal, and it led to 2 penalties from Jorginho, who is among the substitutes today. Jorginho, of course, missed a penalty in midweek, hit the post in the Champions League, but then Timo Werner stepped up after Jorginho had gone off and took a penalty himself and scored it. Here's Conte finding Chilwell. You do slightly fear for Burnley if Chelsea decide to really push on here. Conte again finds Thiago Silva, who switches the play to the right-hand side. It's Reece James with a cushion header back to Hakim Ziyech. There's a guy who writes for the Times newspaper, his name's Bill Edgar, who does all the stats. I bet you on Monday he will have found out whether that Z thing has ever happened before. I'd be amazed if it has. I can't think of too many players. Zola, obviously, for Chelsea, famously. Apart from the likes of Zico and Zidane, who didn't play in the Premier League, we haven't had too many Zs. Zondervan was another, wasn't he? Romeo Zondervan at Ipswich a long time ago. Here's Ziyech with a swirling left-footed cross, which is cleared by Burnley. Not cleared particularly well, but picked up by Brownhill, who finds McNeil. McNeil, under pressure, has to go back to Matt Lowton, who scoops it forward. It's chased by Chris Wood. You feel a bit sorry for him, though. He's not the quickest. And suddenly here at Chelsea on the counter, Werner, though, poor touch. Oh, he had acres of space down the left-hand side, and a poor touch by the German gave Kevin Long, I should say, the time to slide in, which he really shouldn't have been afforded.
Yeah, he's been quite poor today, hasn't he, Werner?
Yeah, it's been great.
Maybe because he's meant to have not started the game, he wasn't ready for it, but you just feel sorry for Burnley, like you said. This Chelsea team now, with all the attacking players they've got, I've been there when you're 2-0 up, you just... Oh.
Here we go, here's James into the box, and goes across the face of goal. Chilwell keeps it alive. Here is Werner, back heel to Ben Chilwell. Ben Chilwell pushes it back to Conte, who's found Mason Mount in centre midfield. Third goal for Chelsea would absolutely end it as a contest, I'm sure. Here's Ziyech again. He'd love to get a second, having got his first in the Premier League. That's nicely done by Chelsea. Here's Reece James. James just delays his cross and plays it back to Ziyech. It's all Chelsea. Burnley having to work hard without the ball at the moment. Here's Zuma. That's pretty useful if you can have a centre half who in the early stages of a Premier League season gets 3 goals, all of them headers, I think all from set pieces. Certainly the Palace one was. I'm trying to remember the one against Brighton. But if you've got a centre half who can chip in with 5 or 6, as he might well do, Zuma, then that's always useful. Here's Burnley trying to create something themselves. It's Jay Rodriguez takes the shot. It hits Thiago Silva and spills away on the far side for a throw, which Burnley take quickly. And it's headed away towards halfway by Chelsea, but Burnley will try and come again. Our friend Adem says, Zuma with his 3rd of the season. I couldn't be any happier. The Mendy clean sheet, and I'm good for the weekend. Enjoying the commentary live from La Paz, Ghana. Good to have you with us, Adem, as ever. Obviously a Chelsea fan who's delighted with things. Here's Werner, who's lost the ball as he tries to get forward. He claims he was fouled, but he's waving his arms around, and meanwhile the play's just continuing without him. Clearly frustrated, but I thought clearly not impeded. Burnley try and get it across. It's a poor ball. It's intercepted by Reece James. James coming forward for Chelsea finds Ziyech. There's a man out wide. It's Werner, and it's 3-0. Lovely goal, beautifully taken by the German. He hasn't had the best of games, but when he got a side of goal. There was no way Pope was going to save that. He side-footed it unerringly into the corner. We're in the 70th minute, and that pretty much is game over. It is Burnley 0, Chelsea 3.
It starts off with a bit of sloppy play here from Westwood. He gives it away, then they're outnumbered. Ziyech, great vision there, perfect ball for Werner. I mean, that's a Thierry Henry finish, isn't it?
It is.
It's a great finish from Werner, and he's had quite a poor game, but it's a great finish from him.
Well, his name doesn't begin with Z, it begins with W, but Chelsea don't mind. As we said, he hasn't the best in games, but that super finish. And Ziyech gets an assist to add to his goal. That was beautifully taken, wasn't it? You'd have been proud of that one.
Yeah, perfect finish from... I mean, look at the first touch here. Left foot, right foot. Take it quickly before the keeper can set himself. I mean, it's a great finish, but I really feel for Burnley now in this last 20 minutes. They look like a broken team.
They do indeed. And if they keep conceding goals, they will sink. In fact, that goal would take them below Sheffield United in the table were they to lose by 3. It's a hopeless case now, of course, for them. 20 minutes to go. Reece James, I mean, it was an awful ball cross field, but James, again, I've been really impressed by him. We've talked about how good he is, and you said he's England's best right back. I wouldn't disagree with you on this showing, Gabby. I think he's been superb again.
Yeah, because I think he just offers everything, doesn't he? He offers the defensive as well. You don't see many people outpace him, many people get past him, and he offers that great passing, great crossing on the ball, and he can score a goal. So for me, if you put in the likes of Wan-Bissaka, Trent Arnold together, you make Reece James.
Yeah, I agree with you. He's been
and a little bit of Kyle Walker added onto it.
Yeah, Kyle Walker, the scorer today for Manchester City, but didn't celebrate because he scored against Sheffield United, which is the team he supports. He's Sheffield born and bred. He's a Blade, but he got an important goal for Manchester City. But Chelsea, with that third goal, if my mathematics is correct, will be up to 4th place in the Premier League, ahead of Liverpool against West Ham. Here come Chelsea again. Chilwell trying to force his way into the box down the left, but blocked.
The big problem I have with Burnley, and I look at their team and their squad, they don't have any pace.
Yeah.
I feel like in the Premier League,
Right.
you need pace. You need at least one quick player in a team, and they've got nobody. I mean, their quickest player is probably Matt Neal, but he hasn't got real pace. So I think that's something that they need to sort out, Burnley, whenever they decide to give their manager some money.
Well, that's the key issue. We've got substitutions taking place now. Ziyech, who's had a fantastic afternoon with a goal and an assist, is coming off for Chelsea, I think, to be replaced by Callum Hudson-Odoi, and spotted a Burnley substitution as well. I think it was Ashley Barnes who went off. I'll confirm that for you. There was a flurry of activity on the respective benches. Here's a ball forward by Burnley, which Mendy will drive back upfield. Callum Hudson-Odoi is definitely on for Chelsea, as I said, to replace Ziyech. He'll be very happy with his afternoon's work. Here's Kai Havertz finding Tammy Abraham. First touch for Hudson-Odoi, wearing 20, knocking it back to Reece James. Here's Conte, cross to Thiago Silva. They're very, very comfortable now, Chelsea. Burnley been chasing shadows for a while, made a reasonable start to the second half, but from the moment that Zuma header zoomed in, we felt that they would struggle, and it's been the case. Here's Havertz, and now James. Not a good cross from him, but he might get a second opportunity as he picks up the loose ball. This time he finds Hudson-Odoi. Hudson-Odoi flicks it across. It's clever. Chilwell controls it back into the box, away by McNeil. James on the edge of the box tries his luck, and his luck's out because he's hammered it with his left foot high and wide.
They're having a bit of fun now, aren't they?
Yes.
So these Chelsea players are having a bit of fun. It's sort of bullying tactics, really. Look how many players they've got in the box there, Chelsea. I actually feel sorry for Burnley. I've been in games like this, you keep looking at the clock and the time doesn't seem to go up.
Keep asking.
Ref, how long?
At the level I was playing, pub football, it was you kept asking the ref every 5 minutes. You used to get fed up.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be a long season, isn't it, for Burnley?
Yes, I would heartily agree. 15 minutes to go at Turf Moor. Burnley will sink further down the table to second from bottom. Chelsea will rise into fourth place, but of course there are teams below them who have games still to be played, so it's relatively early in the weekend. But Sean Dyche staring a fourth consecutive home defeat in the face. They've never, I don't think Burnley ever started a season with only 1 point from their opening 6 games. I think it's the 1920s since they last lost 4 in a row. It really is a desperate time for them as they try and push and probe with Rodriguez, and now Lowton. Rodriguez again finds Taylor back to Brownhill, and now Westwood. Robbie Brady, incidentally, is the player who's come on for Burnley as a second half substitute when we saw Hudson-Odoi come on for Chelsea. That's a foul by Burnley on Abraham by Long. Had a yellow card yet in the game. Haven't had a bad tackle in the game, actually, have we? That's one good thing.
No, it looks like Abraham will be coming off now because I can see Giroud ready to come on.
Giroud's the second top scoring substitute in Premier League history behind Jermaine Defoe. And you're right, Abraham is making his way, I think, towards the dugout, so it's a bit frustrating for him. He scored in a 3-0 win against Burnley last season, but hasn't quite been as prolific in this campaign, but he's making his way off the field now. Here's Thiago Silva. He's quality, isn't he? Lovely turn. He's looked completely unruffled throughout the entire game, Thiago Silva, doesn't he?
You'd think to yourself that with these 2 strikers that Burnley started with, you'd rough him up, you know, welcome him to the Premier League, but they haven't done that, and maybe this is the sort of striker that he likes to play against. I mean, look at his age, he's not going to want a quick striker playing on him, so...
Absolutely. Yeah, probably right. He's done really well. He looks, well, he's class, we know that. I mean, with the amount of silverware that he's hoisted in his career, he's won everything there was to win in the game.